So imagine you're sitting in a television studio behind the anchor desk, bright lights shining in your eyes, large cameras moving all around, capturing different angles of you. All the while, the director is giving you instructions through your earpiece. But you can't think. You can't focus. Your ears are ringing. Your stomach is churning. You are gripped with anxiety because you know every single imperfection, every stumble, every fumble is public. And what's really fueling your anxiety isn't the fact you're on live television. It's that you're being bullied by your own colleagues off camera for your on-screen imperfections. Well, that was me some 35 years ago in my first job as a young anchor, and I still feel the stress of that time. For the year I stayed in that job, the stress of trying to be perfect consumed me. I obsessed about getting everything just right. I told myself if I could be mistake-free, then I could prove my worth. I would silence those critics, those bullies, my own coworkers, as well as the growing critic in my own head. Now, unfortunately, this striving for perfection continued long after I left that job. It became a deeply ingrained habit. I regularly told myself, do better, work harder, keep pushing. Then your dreams will come true. Then you can relax. But until you get it all right, keep pushing. I was fully hooked, not on drugs or alcohol, but on striving for perfection. I will tell you, it was exhausting. Now, if this sounds at all familiar, it's because as humans, we are wired to seek validation. In many cases, we actually define our worth by what we achieve. From the time we're young, we are hooked on following something called success scripts. These scripts are the well-meaning advice and guidance we're given by our families, teachers, and coaches. And while these scripts are critical when we're young, if they become rigid as we become adults, we can get trapped in the hooks of perfectionism. But what if I told you there's a way to unhook? And it's not about working harder. It's actually about being imperfect, being messy. That's what unlocks joy, wisdom, peace, even your authentic self. So fast forward from sitting under those hot new studio lights to today. I make a point to make exceptional messes all the time. I fail intentionally. I create for the sheer joy of creating. And in doing so, I have found more joy, more peace, more happiness, even more success than I ever did when I was trying so hard to be perfect. I managed to untangle myself from the binds of perfectionism. So what does all this look like from a scientific perspective? Because there's some really compelling research that explains what's happening. Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, a Harvard-trained neuroanatomist and best-selling author, had spent her career studying how our brains construct our perception of reality. Then when she was 37, she suffered a massive stroke, completely shutting down the left hemisphere of her brain. When that happened, the right hemisphere took over. She reports feeling connection, peace, bliss, even while understanding what was happening to her. There was no fear. After she recovered, she refocused her research on understanding the differences between the left and right hemispheres of our brain. Now, for the purposes of this talk, the gist of her findings are that the left side of our brain, the side of logic, stress, achievement, the right side, play, creativity, connection, and peace. This explains her experience during her stroke, but it also tells us that if we intentionally choose to bypass that left side of the brain and move to the right, if we can let go of the need for that perfect outcome, if we're willing to go off script, we open ourselves up to all new possibilities. So how do you do that? Well, you unhook by daring to be bad, by creating for the sheer sake of creating and being willing to do it badly. Rather you're finger painting, playing with clay, or coloring, what happens when you get to that right side of your brain, your stress decreases, you increase your neuroplasticity, and you're even able to unhook from those rigid thought patterns that we all get so very caught on. I discovered this firsthand when I was at a major career crossroads. After years in a high pressure corporate environment, I was feeling lost, anxious, even angry. I was simply exhausted from trying to get everything just right in that success script. I needed an outlet. So on a rainy Saturday morning, I went against my perfectionistic tendencies and I went to an art workshop given by a friend. And while others were learning about the color wheel, I sat in the corner just playing with paint. There was no plan, there was no purpose. It was just raw, chaotic color. I felt my inner 5-year-old artist go free. And I'll tell you what, it was ugly. It was chaotic. And in that page, in that series of messy colors, it suddenly struck me. It was a mirror for what I was feeling inside. And for the first time, I realized I didn't need to fix this. I didn't need to clean this up and make this all neat and tidy. The mess itself was the insight. I felt my stress melt away. I felt a deep sense of peace come over me. Years later, I did something I never imagined I would do. I actually wrote a book about the power of art journaling and now lead workshops. You see, because when we allow ourselves to play with no expectation, we create fertile ground for our curiosity. And if we cultivate that curiosity, if we follow it and let it grow, we find our authentic selves. We're able to release all the other expectations. This actually brings me to one of my very favorite personal stories. It was 2023 Mother's Day. And due to some very unusual circumstances, I was unable to be with my mother, my child, or anyone in my family. So I took myself to a bookstore. And as I wandered the aisles of the self-help section, across the way, over in the children's section, I spotted a plush blue stuffed bunny rabbit. And in that moment, it struck me. I did not need another book on how to do something better. I needed that bunny rabbit. So before my inner critic could rope me in, I grabbed the bunny, paid with my credit card, all but skipped to my car. I got to the car, I didn't even turn it on. I stuck my new blue friend on the dashboard, and I did something spontaneous. I wrote a poem to my bunny. Now, I wasn't trying to be the next Mary Oliver. I just let my inner 5-year-old artist go wild. And just like when I scribble in my art journal, that bad and silly poem set me free from the expectations of the day. A day where if you're a mother, all the cards, all the ads, everything's telling you you should be with your family and you should be celebrated. And if you're not, there may be a problem. But there I am, alone in my car with my bunny, and I am filled with joy and happiness. That silly poem was an act of rebellion, and it set me free from the expectations of the day. So if you are hooked on striving for perfection and meeting everyone's expectations, I see you. I feel you. I have a challenge for you. For 10 minutes every day for 30 days, just 10 minutes every day for 30 days, dare to be bad. Create for the joy of creating and be willing to do it badly. Write that silly poem that doesn't rhyme. Take funny photos, dance, sing off key, paint a page of random colors. Now, at first, I'll admit it may feel pointless, but give it time. Because eventually something will shift. Your ideas will start to flow more freely. You may even get answers to questions you weren't consciously aware you were working on. Now remember, this is not about you becoming an artist. And please don't try to create a perfect piece of art. This is about discovering your authentic self, your inner wisdom, your intuitive voice, aspects of ourself that are so often drowned out by striving for perfection. This process brings them back to life. So you see, the cure for perfectionism is not to work harder. It's to be imperfect to be messy. Because when you dare to be bad, when you dare to create that beautiful mess, that's how you unleash your brilliance. Thank you.